Welcome back to Case Closed. The channel where we dive into the most interesting mysteries?
Yeah.
And today we're tackling a case that has really captivated South Africa for a decade now.
Absolutely.
It's the unsolved murder of Senzo Meyiwa.
It's a story that is both heartbreaking and baffling at the same time.
It really is.
Senzo Meyiwa was a star.
Yeah.
He was the goalkeeper for Orlando Pirates and captain of Bafana Bafana, South Africa's national team.
Wow.
And he was only 27 years old when he was shot and killed on October 26, 2014.
Yeah, that's so young.
At the home of his girlfriend, singer Kelly Khumalo.
So to kind of guide us through this case, we've got a few news articles from SABC News, ENCA, and IOL.
Okay.
What I find really fascinating about this whole thing is how this case has really morphed over time. Initial reports, pointed to a robbery gone wrong. But now official investigations are suggesting a contract killing.
Oh, wow.
So there's a real tangled web
Yeah.
of conflicting accounts. And our mission today is to figure out what really happened that night.
Okay, so right from the start,
Yeah.
this case has been riddled with inconsistencies.
Really?
Imagine the scene. A house full of people,
Okay.
sudden intrusion,
Uh-huh.
a struggle,
Yeah.
and then a fatal shot.
Oh, gosh.
But here's the thing. The crime scene itself wasn't secured properly, which could have compromised crucial evidence.
Wow. And to add to the complexity of it all, several key witnesses have died under mysterious circumstances
Right.
in the years since the murder.
Yeah, it makes you think.
It really does make you wonder,
Yeah.
what information was lost because of those missteps? And could those witness deaths be connected to the case at all?
Possibly.
It took 6 long years before the first arrests were made.
Wow.
And even then, the path to justice has been anything but straightforward.
Like, for example, Zamakule Mbata.
Oh, yeah. What about him?
He was arrested shortly after the murder, but then later released due to lack of evidence.
I see.
And now he's actually suing the state for wrongful arrest and detention.
No way.
Yeah,
That's a twist.
it is.
That really raises questions about the initial handling of the investigation.
Totally.
Then you've got the 5 men who are currently on trial.
Okay.
Musikawa Sibia, Bongani Ntanzi, Mthobisi Prince Mncube, Mathokosi Seni Mafisa, and Fisokulan Kaninutuli.
5.
Each of them faces charges related to the murder.
Okay.
And their stories offer a glimpse into this potential network
Right.
of motives and connections.
One of the most intriguing figures is Musikawa Kulewa Sibia.
Oh, really?
He was arrested in 2020 and even confessed to the crime.
Wow.
But now his legal team is arguing that the confession was coerced under duress.
Oh.
To make things even more complex, just before the Meyiwa trial began,
Yeah.
Sibia was sentenced to 12 years in prison for a separate attempted murder case.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of paints a picture of someone who might be capable of violence,
Yeah.
but does it directly link him to Senzo's death? I mean, that's what the court is trying to determine.
Okay, and then we've got Bongani and Tansi,
Right.
who is accused of being one of the intruders who entered the house that night.
Okay.
One of Senzo's friends, Tumalo Madlala,
Uh-huh.
actually identified Ntanzi as one of the gunmen.
Oh, wow.
But Ntanzi insists that he is innocent,
Right.
and his story is supported by cell phone data that was analyzed during the trial,
Interesting.
which suggests that he might have been somewhere else entirely when the shooting occurred.
It's crazy how eyewitness testimony can be so unreliable, especially in a chaotic and traumatic situation like that.
Right.
Our memories are not always as reliable as we
Yeah.
think they are.
Yeah, they really aren't.
And that's something that the court has to weigh very carefully.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget Mathobisi Mncube.
Okay.
Now, he was already serving a 30-year sentence for the murder of a taxi boss when he was linked to the Meyiwa case.
Okay.
The interesting thing here is that a firearm was found in his possession during that previous arrest. And it was linked to Senzo's murder through ballistic testing.
No way.
And there's more. Cell phone records show communication between Mncube and another accused, Fisokuling Ntuli, on the very day of the shooting.
Oh, wow. So that connection between Mncube and Ntuli seems like a crucial piece of the puzzle.
It is. The prosecution is suggesting that Ntuli was the coordinator of the hit,
Okay.
potentially handling logistics and communication between the accused.
Gotcha.
Cell phone data puts him in Johannesburg in the hours leading up to the murder,
Okay.
which seems to support his alibi that he wasn't at the scene.
Okay.
However, a call that he made to Mncube on the day of the murder throws a wrench in the narrative.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
And then there's Kelly Kumalo.
Oh, yeah, Kelly Kumalo.
Her name has been swirling around this case from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it seems the investigation took a closer look at her potential involvement.
So during the investigation, a document from the National Prosecuting Authority was accidentally sent to the media.
Oh, wow.
It instructed investigators to dig into Kelly Kumalo's phone records and investigate a possible loan that may have been used to finance the hit.
So are they suggesting that Kelly Kumalo might have been involved in orchestrating Senzo's murder?
That seems to be a line of inquiry.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that Kelly Kumalo has never been charged with any crime related to Senzo's death.
Right.
She has always maintained her innocence and says she was also a victim in this tragedy.
It's a messy situation.
It really is. We have this complex web of accusations, potential motives, and conflicting evidence.
It really is a story that's as much about the search for the truth as it is about the flaws in the justice system itself.
Yeah, and that's where the real drama unfolds in the trial itself.
Absolutely.
And that's a story for part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay. As we were talking about the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, it's been a whirlwind of legal twists and turns.
Yeah, you're right.
So remember, it initially began in 2022, but was quickly derailed by procedural issues and a major shakeup in the defense team.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about advocate Melissa Latefo.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He was representing 4 of the accused, but then he got struck off the roll by the Legal Practice Council.
Wow.
Because of a series of misconduct allegations.
That's crazy.
It was a really dramatic turn of events that forced the trial to restart in 2023 under a new judge.
Okay, so this new judge, Rothamokotlang, he's got his work cut out for him. He's tasked with navigating this mountain of evidence, all these conflicting testimonies and legal arguments.
A lot.
And one of his most crucial roles is deciding what evidence is admissible in court, which can have a huge impact on the outcome of the trial.
It's interesting that the Meyiwa family, frustrated with the slow progress of the initial investigation, decided to enlist the help of AfriForum and their high-profile advocate, Jerry Nell.
So AfriForum is a civil rights organization in South Africa. Known for taking on these high-profile cases.
Oh, wow.
And Jerry Nell is a well-known prosecutor who's handled some of the country's most famous trials.
Okay, so their involvement has really brought a lot of attention to the case.
Absolutely.
And put pressure on the state to secure a conviction.
Yeah. But amidst all of these legal maneuvers, it's crucial to remember the human toll of this tragedy.
Yeah.
Senzo's father, Sam Meyiwa, passed away in 2019 without seeing justice for his son.
It's so sad.
It's a stark reminder that while this legal battle goes on, a family is left grappling with their loss and the unanswered questions that haunt them.
And those questions are made even more perplexing by the fact that there is no DNA evidence directly linking any of the accused to the crime scene.
You'd think in a case like this, with so much at stake, that forensic evidence would play a key role.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's been a significant challenge for the prosecution.
Definitely a twist that no one expected. Despite thorough forensic analysis, none of the accused men's DNA was found at the house where the shooting took place.
So it's forced the prosecution to rely heavily on circumstantial evidence.
Like what?
Things like cell phone records, eyewitness testimonies, and those alleged confessions that we discussed earlier.
But as we've already seen, some of those confessions are being challenged. The defense is arguing that they were coerced under duress, potentially even through torture.
Oh, wow.
It raises serious concerns about the integrity of the investigation itself.
Absolutely. If those allegations are true, it could cast doubt on the entire case.
It really could.
It just underscores the importance of due process and ensuring that evidence is obtained fairly and ethically.
So we've got these conflicting accounts, questionable confessions, no DNA evidence to tie it all together.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah, what was the motive? Why would anyone want Senzo Meyiwa dead?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, the initial robbery theory, it doesn't seem to hold water. I mean, nothing of value was taken from the house, and the attack seemed very targeted. It kind of pushes us back towards the possibility of a planned hit. But even then, the motive remains a mystery.
There's been speculation that it could be linked to the 5 million rand insurance payout on Senzo's life. So a portion of that money went to his football club, Orlando Pirates. And And the rest was put into a trust for his children.
Right.
So could someone have been motivated by financial gain?
It's one theory that's been explored, but there's no concrete evidence to support it.
So other theories have emerged too.
Yeah, like personal conflicts, maybe even darker conspiracies, but nothing has been substantiated.
It's almost as if we're looking at a puzzle with missing pieces.
Yeah.
We have these fragments of information.
Right.
But without that clear motive, it's incredibly difficult to make sense of the bigger picture.
And there's one more layer to this case that we need to unpack.
Okay.
Like the broader context of South Africa's justice system.
Right.
And the implications of this trial for the country as a whole.
And that's what we'll explore in part 3 of our deep dive.
Yep.
We'll move beyond the specifics of the trial and examine what this case reveals about the challenges and complexities of pursuing justice in South Africa.
Sounds good.
The Senzo Meyiwa case, it's not just about figuring out who pulled the trigger.
Right.
It's also about taking a look at the South African justice system. And asking some hard questions about how effective it really is.
Yeah. It's definitely exposed some glaring cracks.
In what way?
Well, we already talked about how the crime scene was mishandled, especially in those crucial early hours.
Yeah.
And those long delays in making arrests and bringing the case to trial.
Yeah, those delays.
I mean, they can erode public trust in the system, leaving people feeling like justice is just out of reach.
And then there are those allegations of police misconduct.
Right.
Like those coerced confessions we were talking about.
Yeah.
And the suspicious death of a key investigating officer.
If those allegations are actually true, it really raises doubts about the integrity of the entire investigation.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if maybe the focus on getting a conviction has kind of overshadowed the search for the truth.
Right, because when you have allegations of torture and, potentially compromised evidence, it undermines the whole process and makes it hard to have faith in the outcome.
It also makes you think about fairness and equality in the system.
Right.
Remember, it actually took the involvement of AfriForum, a private organization with a lot of resources, to really inject some new energy into the investigation.
Right. It makes you wonder what happens in those cases where families don't have access to that kind of support.
It really highlights the reality that access to justice is often unequal, especially in a country like South Africa, where you have such deep-rooted socioeconomic disparities.
The Meyiwa case, with all the media attention, has really forced a national conversation about these very issues, like police accountability and the right to a fair trial.
And it's a conversation that needs to continue long after the verdict is delivered.
Absolutely.
Regardless of whether the accused are found guilty or not. Those systemic issues this case has brought to the surface, they can't be ignored.
It's a call to action for South Africa to reform its justice system, to make sure that everyone has equal access to a fair trial and to hold those in power accountable for their action.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this really complex and often heartbreaking case of Senzo Meyiwa, we're left with this sense of unease. The truth is still out there. And the trial is ongoing.
Right. But this case is about so much more than just finding those guilty parties.
Exactly.
It's about justice, the flaws within the system, and the fight for a society where everyone is treated equally under the law.
What I find so thought-provoking is this question of what true justice looks like in a case like this.
Right, because is it just about securing convictions? Or is it about something much bigger?
Like what?
Like acknowledging the pain of the victims, addressing those systemic failures, and working towards a future where these kinds of tragedies are less likely to happen.
It's definitely something to think about.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into this complex and often heartbreaking case of Senzo Meyiwa.
That's a good one.
If you're as intrigued by these kinds of stories as we are, make sure to subscribe to Case Closed for more explorations into the mysteries that shape our world.
Definitely.
Stay curious and stay safe.